Hey Joe, my name is Jake Goss. I'm a SEO over at Web Strategy Viking. But I'm taking this 5-minute video quick to show you why your website's getting these numbers and how it's only really bringing in 40, 50 in traffic, but my other client is getting twice as much traffic, but a lot more economic value because he's ranking for industry-specific keyword phrases. They're getting more traffic, they're getting the right keywords, and they're getting more sales. I'm sending him leads for people looking to do B2B tax prep for, tax season hasn't even hit yet. My name is Jake Goss. I'm headquartered out in St. Paul. I was in Minneapolis for the past few years, and I'm with family over in Honolulu for the holidays. So right now, what I'm going to do is take a look at your organic keywords and compare that with my other client here. And I'm going to show you what the difference is between the two. Okay? And your website is pretty fine. It's pretty good. And I have an eye for these sorts of things. So this is our website. This is what we're doing now, right? We're keeping people on our website for 5 minutes on average, and they're staying on the website longer. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 160 users, and we get phone calls. We get people like you asking us, like, hey, how can we grow our business? How can we get more keywords? How can we, actually have a return off of digital? And if my clients get a return, there's no doubt that you guys can too. One thing, he does Latino tax prep, and it looks like you guys help out Anglos. So that's one thing. Anyway, I'll be looking at your keywords here and comparing and explaining why you're only getting these sorts of results here. You're showing up for phrases like CPA Minneapolis. That's a keyword that if a consumer types that phrase in, they only find you, CPA Minneapolis, on the second page. I had to go click this 2 down here. That's the only way to get to this. So I had to type in the phrase, say no to everyone on the first page, and then click 2, and then just click you because you just seem good, right? So you're getting, the numbers tell me that for, on average, you get one person clicking through on your website every 2 months. Meanwhile, the person at the top gets about 30% or a third of what the total monthly search volume is. So you can kind of see this for your brand name here. 90 people are typing in your brand name, and about 30% 30 people are clicking through to your website. So you can see the value of getting more people to click through on your website. So if you're at the top for CPA Minneapolis, right, if we spent time and resources to get that up there, which we have a process to do, you'd be able to see 30 people literally typing in CPA Minneapolis, and I know about 10 to 20% of people that need a CPA Minneapolis, especially during the tax season. They're going to want to work with the company. So we find 10 to 15 keywords like this, like CPA Minneapolis or Minneapolis tax attorney, Minneapolis tax services, which is what, this is one of the keywords that is on the front page for my other client, right? I switched to my other client. They're on the front page for Minneapolis tax services, and they're getting more traffic from it. He has a very heavily branded named company, right? Which is something that I found to be pretty lucrative for tax companies. People do their due diligence when working with tax companies, and when they realize that not only can they, most tax companies compete on the city and the industry. They say that we do tax prep in Minneapolis, or we do business tax in Minneapolis. But if you go after your competitors and say, I'm a competitor of here, we're all in our alternative to a competitor, it's usually 5 times cheaper to land a click on that because they're not competing on their own keyword phrase. So if you have any other competitors that you're aware of, you can start to funnel and take away their market share just by saying that you're that you offer a different service, that you have a different sort of process or something, anything that differentiates you between that. So that's just one thing to get more clicks. But this is what you guys are doing on the site that I wanted to talk about before I part ways here. Keep in mind, I use this model. The number of people clicking on the website is multiplied by a conversion rate of people that turn into a client. And there's an economic value for that. So if 100 people are going to the website and 10% of those people turn into a lead where they just ask for more information, and maybe half of them turn into an actual customer, you'll get lifetime value. They'll work with you for next year, and then you can see how that just adds an accrued revenue to your to the business. I'm going to go through and end this on a few good notes that I've seen. The website's designed really well. I do like that brand. I won't change too many things about this, and I'll explain why. Right above the fold, I call this the hero because it's the page that gets seen 100% of the time. People don't necessarily click on all these other pages. They start the home page first. Something that is a bit more compelling will do very well. Let me show you a competitor of mine that does this a little bit better. He's out over in Connecticut. He's not in Minnesota. He has this thing where it's just like right above the fold, right? And it's just like a lead magnet. This is what I'm doing for my client for just to set appointments. I have this little button on the left-hand side that's not really performing, but I have this little chat bot that automatically pops up. I'm just going to activate it quick. And it's just like this thing that takes like 15 seconds for me to set up, and it just says, "Hi, let's set an appointment." And it sets appointments. It relays a message. And it's like, "Hey, what's your request? I want to set an appointment." And it's like, "Okay, cool." And it sends that to the accountant, sends that to you. So something that's like that above the fold, where it's like, "Hey, come have a one-to-one confidential call," right? Or a free consult, or anything that's high value to the consumer, is going to let them build trust and say, "Okay, well, I know what the next step is," right? Because it seems like the next steps would either be to call, which is kind of hinting up here, send a file. It's not really clear what the next call to action is, right? If I'm a client, I get to log in, I get to see tools, cool. But what is, if I'm completely new, which is what a website should be structured to do, you know, should attract all these new customers, where would they go next? There are a few other things here. Your website, you know, with the data that backs up what I'm saying, this is another tool called Majestic. It tells me how trustworthy your website is, and the citation flow, which is how often your content gets shared. You want to have a high trust flow. You want to have a high citation flow. It shows the search engines. It shows people that trust and refer to your website. This is a good number. You're in a good spot. You're in a very good spot. Let me see. I have this other tool. This is a few pages of an audit in one pass. It's kind of confusing, so I do want to go through this. Again, it's a different source that audits your website. It says you have a high page authority, which is excellent. Good domain authority. It says like your website as a whole is good. But you only have one page that's indexed. Of all the pages on your website, you only have one page that, or maybe this is, I don't know if this is completely accurate here, but usually I see hundreds of pages indexed. When a page is indexed, it just means that it shows up online. It shows up in the search. So if I type in any of your other pages here, I don't know if it would pick up. I don't know if comprehensive tax services would be able to be picked up. So that's one thing. Let me see. If I literally type in what this page is about, will it? Okay, no, it does. So that reports off. Still, you're in a good spot here for on page. And the one thing that I've noticed is, even though you were doing paid per click, you were spending a lot of resources writing blog posts. And I'll end on this note. Doing on page, what on page basically means is to optimize the page to be a keyword phrase, and to make sure all your other pages on your website have a purpose. People only see this if they click through the blog, when they should be clicking through on your other blog posts to see this. I call this strategy internal linking. So this is an example of one part of on page. So something like this on my success page would say, okay, well, here's the case studies, here's the client testimonials, here's me, right? So if I click on this, it would go to my about page and it would tell the consumer who would still be on my website more about us and our values and the kind of work that we worked on, right? I don't see that on some of your blog posts. A read more isn't what I mean. It's something that's within the line, like retirement thoughts. You can plan for it like we've mentioned in this blog post, and you can try and visualize it like we've done in this blog post, and that would be a link. Maybe there's pictures, right? People like pictures because it's visually engaging, and it keeps them on the page, and it, going paragraph after paragraph after paragraph when the paragraphs aren't SEO optimized is something that's not entirely beneficial for you. Like if I just control find Minneapolis, I don't see, or even MN, for Minneapolis, I don't see anything for that on this blog post. I would change this to say retirement planner in Minneapolis, comma, retirement thoughts from a CPA, from a Minneapolis-based CPA. Right there, you're targeting 2 or 3 keywords, and this page will be able to be higher in these keywords. And if you link and internally link to your other pages, now you can start to make more calls come out of your website. Now, something like that would probably take no more than 10 hours here, and I wouldn't get to it until after Christmas. But if this makes sense, or it starts to make a little bit of sense and doesn't raise too many questions, I'll still be able to answer them. Just reach out to me through Alan, and you can set a call. Normally 15 minutes is a good starting point that most clients of mine start off, just so we can learn a little bit more about what you guys do before I can really start to dive in. But let me know how you feel about having a 15-minute call for me to learn more about what you guys do. Anyway, thanks a lot, Joe. Thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your Christmas week. Thanks.